you must stay at home.
Communities will become immune to it.
A protective ring around our care homes.
An eat out to help out discount.
A government battling an unprecedented health crisis. But it acted too slowly and it failed to understand the danger posed.
I can summarise my findings of the response as too little, too late. All four governments failed to appreciate the scale of the threat or the urgency of response it demanded in the early part of 2020.
I was at a hospital the other night where I think there were actually a few coronavirus patients, and I shook hands with everybody.
The report says 23,000 lives in England alone could have been saved if the first lockdown had been imposed a week before it actually was, and that the Department of Health and Social Care misled the public by giving the impression that the UK was well prepared for a pandemic. For bereaved families, Baroness Hallett's findings are bittersweet. They feel absolved but pained by the failure of government. Naomi's mother, Christina, died alone in hospital in January 2021, and this is the last photo of her taken at Christmas.
I feel vindicated that she has set out the absolute failure of leadership at the very top of government. I hold Boris Johnson responsible for my mother's death in January 2021, and she sets out really clearly the terrible mistakes, the delays, the ignoring of scientific advice.
It was a mix of a lot of the wrong people in the wrong job, decades of accumulated power, no real scrutiny and insight.
The report singles out the then Prime Minister Boris Johnson and his key advisor at the time, Dominic Cummings, for creating a toxic and chaotic culture at the heart of government. And the government's Eat Out to Help Out scheme has been criticised for its role in the second wave of the virus. And Baroness Hallett found there was no lockdown exit strategy and no planning for a second wave. Giving evidence to the inquiry in 2023, former Prime Minister Boris Johnson said he was sorry for the pain and loss of COVID victims. Boris Johnson's chief advisor, Dominic Cummings, has led criticism of the inquiry, calling it a mix of cover-ups and rewriting history. But this scathing report will provide bereaved families some of the answers and culpability they've long asked for. While it will bring them no comfort, it may even cause them more distress. It will bring them closer to understanding why the UK's response to this unprecedented health crisis was so poor. Baroness Hallett has made 19 key recommendations, including clearer public health messaging and a greater scrutiny of emergency powers. Too late for the almost 227,000 people who died in the UK with COVID-19 on their death certificates. But making sure more lives can be saved when the next pandemic strikes. Ashish Joshi, Sky News in Westminster.